What is up, YouTube? We are back with another video. In this week's video, we are talking about crushing rye and then talking a little bit about spreading buckwheat into the standing rye and then crimping it with a Goliath 8-foot crimper. We had the attachment on the front of our skid steer and then we just went forward with it and crushed it down. Now I took 2 passes on the rye because it was about 6 feet tall and it came in really thick because we didn't have a planter, so we ended up actually just broadcast seeding this. So I'm going to show you guys a little bit about what I did, the process, and then how well it's drying out, because this is actually about 4 days after crimping it, and you guys can start to see it's starting to dry out and break down. And then I'll kind of zoom in on certain areas and show you guys kind of what it looks like underneath, what each little rye chunk looks like after crimping, what the main goal of this little area is here inside of our nursery. There's our dappled willow, and then our red osier dogwood, silky dogwood, and then some hybrid poplar behind that. So I'm going to dive right in here. Real short video, but just want to talk about our Goliath crimper, what we're going to do. Also on the food plots, we're doing the same exact thing so that we are able to establish our food plots without using chemicals. Now it's going to take a process. It's probably going to take a few years to fully get it down, perfect it. But overall, we had really good success with this rye stand. It looks like everything is going to be killed off and die, and then it looks like we should be getting a good healthy crop of buckwheat coming in here soon. So stay tuned for everything, but follow along in this video. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe and continue to follow along. I'm going to continue to bring more content to YouTube, hopefully. I know summer gets crazy and fall, but I know you guys are interested in exactly what we're doing on the farm here, what we do with our cuttings, and how to plant, when to plant our cuttings, and different stuff like that. So I'm going to dive right in here, so let's get after it. So here's a prime example of our buckwheat coming in. It's just poking through. Now what we did was we planted the buckwheat about 5 days prior to crimping, because I wanted it to at least hit the ground, get a good rainfall or two to be able to push through the rye and then crimp it. Because if I were to come in and crimp it and then broadcast, you can see here, and this is after about 4 to 5 days of drying now, and the issue would have been the seed wouldn't have been able to make good ground contact with this thatch because it's just so thick. But you can start to see here all of our buckwheat starting to pop through now that it's starting to dry out, and there becomes pockets in here. So this is a really great example of the rye crimping. Now I'm going to show you a blade, and I've taken some of their videos, so I'm going to show you guys also what it is and how we did it. But so we have a stalk here, and then it's crimped right there, and then crimped once more right there. So you're looking for about 3 crimps per stalk of rye, because that's going to shut off all the nutrients going up to the stalk. And then what that's going to allow us to do is kill that without using a chemical. And you guys can start to see it's really starting to dry out now. The buckwheat is really starting to pop. The buckwheat's about 1 inch tall now, but overall it's going to continue to break down. And then we'll start to see that buckwheat really starting to take off in about a week or so. But we've been getting really good timely rainfall. Today we are about to get another good rain. So that's going to continue to press down the rye and break it down. And then if we get some warm days, sunny days with some wind, that's going to be really key and crucial to allowing us to have a really great stand of buckwheat. But overall, I am very happy with how the Goliath worked. And now I'm going to show you guys kind of the process we did that day. So I'm kind of jumping around a little bit, but I'm kind of ahead myself right now. But I wanted to show you guys the progress so far, just to give you guys an idea of exactly how it's been going, and just a little bit of tips and tricks on what we did. But this stand of rye was about 6 feet tall, so it was probably a little too tall and a little late in the maturity state. And honestly, we probably could have crimped it and flattened it with a cultipacker because it was such in a late state. But technically, I probably could have done this at least 2 weeks prior to when I did it. Just didn't have enough time to get after it and get it done. And so this is what we were stuck with. But you guys can see great examples of how the rye has crimped over. And I did not throw any water in that drum. I just had the skid steer plate on float and let the Goliath go to work. And the Goliath is an awesome tool for us. I think it's going to come in very key as we continue to build our food plots up. And this is, like I said before, just an example, little plot here in our nursery that we want to establish buckwheat, and then probably a cool season grass, which I'll talk about later. But I just wanted to give you guys a quick update here, so we'll get back to the rest of the video here. So as you guys can see here, the crimping that is done on the rye here. 1, 2, and then it cut it off right there on this one. But most of the time I'm getting 3 solid crimps on each stalk of rye here throughout the entire patch right here. And so we did seed buckwheat from a drone because this rye was about 6 feet tall. So trying to seed out anything into this tall of rye would have been very difficult for us. So we hired a drone to come in, and this is a good example here of the crimping. So you can see the one joint there, one joint right here, and then the final touch right there. So very high quality crimping done very quickly. It took me about 10 to 15 minutes. And this rye has laid down very, very flat. It's gonna start to dry out here, create a nice cover for our buckwheat to come in underneath. Like I said, we did seed the buckwheat via a drone last week, and I did take some video of that I'm going to make a video on. But you guys can see here how well that Goliath 8-foot wide crimper was at crimping this rye very quickly. It's actually meant to pull behind or put in front of a tractor and then to pull behind a no-till drill, but we don't have our tractor or no-till. I think that's going to be a next year project and purchase, but we wanted to test out the Goliath to make sure that everything was going to work just the way we wanted it. And right now, as you guys can see here, it is looking really awesome. And I'll have some updated photos and videos soon of how the drying out process is working, how the buckwheat comes through. Now this is a little thick, so I am a little nervous on how well that buckwheat will be able to climb through this thick thatch of rye. But hopefully it starts to break down quickly with the hot sun and the wind. And then hopefully that rain that we have had within this past week or past 2 weeks, hopefully that pushed down the buckwheat to make good ground contact. That's why we want to do it while it was standing, because we knew we were going to be broadcasting. If you weren't going to broadcast seed and you had a no-till drill, then what you would do is you would crimp first and then come back through and no-till drill into this flat rye. Now you could probably wait a day or 2 or 3 or 4 to allow this to dry out a little bit, because then it might make it a little bit easier because the stalks won't be as green to be able to pull that no-till drill through this. And you do want to go with the grain of the way you laid it down. So for me in this instance, I would be going this way with my no-till straight on. If you were to crisscross here, that's going to pull on your no-till drill, and then the rye becomes really clumpy, or it clogs and bogs down your no-till drill. So next year, that's going to be a purchasing process for us to be able to maximize our food plots here. But this is in our nursery. We wanted to get some rye down because we did tear up a bunch of fabric because we wanted to switch this over to grass. So we're going to do a buckwheat and then probably do a cool season grass in here that we will be able to mow in the future, but we wanted to eliminate the weeds from the get-go so that our grass takes over. So that's our main crop in here, to have a good stand, and it's a good test plot for doing this because we will be doing this in all of our food plots. And I will be crimping that soon as well, because we did have the drone fly over those to get our buckwheat down. And then that will take us into our fall food plot mix blends that we'll be doing from WHS, Jeff Sturgis's. We're going to be doing a brassica on half the plots, and then a fall greens on the other half. And then in the small food plots in the back of our woods, we're going to be doing a clover mix, so that it has food for most of the year, compared to what our big food plots will be with the destination plots, where we're necessarily not holding the deer as long, and it's going to allow us to limit the amount of does on our property so that we're not housing 30 does because we have so much summer food, where then the bucks feel pressured to leave. And so that's a wrap on this week's video. Like and subscribe if you found this interesting, and follow along for more on what's to come with this little patch here with the buckwheat. I will try to post on both Instagram and Facebook updates on how this does with the buckwheat, how the crimping went, if it fully killed it. Now, I would fully anticipate that this rye, because it was so mature that it's gonna die, we probably could have ran a cultipacker over it and it would have died. I was probably a little late, but of course this spring it's been crazy with the amount of rain and moisture. So it's been very difficult to get in here. Luckily we have a track skid steer, so it makes getting into places where normally with a tractor you wouldn't be able to get easier. But overall it's a very quick, fun, easy little project. Good test plot. And just stay tuned for any more updates. Follow along on Facebook and our YouTube channel. But overall, very nice crimping of rye here. So I'm gonna wrap up the video here. Follow along for more. And if you guys have any other questions, just give Tom or I a call, or send us an email with any other further questions, or leave a comment down here in this video, as I enjoy reading comments, things that we might be able to do better. If you guys have any other past experience with crimping and no-till drilling, I'd really appreciate that, because like I said, I'm not an expert, but overall it's a fun project. And we will see you guys in the next video.